Good evening, Super League fans and managers. Hopefully, you can all hear us. A quick confirmation in the comments would be greatly appreciated. Joined in the studio tonight by is interim Churchtown manager or joint Churchtown manager? What's your current title?
Evening, Martin. Yeah, it's assistant to the manager, but I am in charge tonight. So Kieran came back for 1 week, and yeah, he's gone again for now. But I'm sure he'll be back for a few more games at least this season.
Well, we'll see when he turns up, and what he fancies doing with the side. So he, as you mentioned there, Kieran was in charge during the midweek fixture, the away game at Fulchester didn't quite go to plan. So he handed the reins straight back to you, I guess.
Yeah, it was influenced by me, so I can't take I can't avoid all the criticism. But I thought it was quite a tight game. It almost went to plan, but I think the keeper threw in a 4 or a 3. I think it was a 4. So yeah, that's when the keeper does that, you haven't got much chance.
Yeah,
Um,
Jens Lehmann didn't cover himself in glory there. Swindon
no, not at all.
Devils, Fifey shouting goal. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Fifey. I don't think we've.
And I know he's watching the League Two playoffs, so it's probably in that.
Oh right, he's all right, okay, yeah. I guess that's actual football on.
Yeah, that's his realm now, League Two. So he's probably just an interested party from now on.
All right, well that could be it. Oh yeah, he'll be seeing who he'll be playing. They'll be playing next year. I thought he might have been looking at Oxford and I think they're rivals. Are they rivals for some reason? I don't know.
Yeah, I believe they're already out, so he'd be happy with that. I know he was shouting about that the other night. So yeah, they're definitely out already. So they won't be going up.
All right, what a game this has been. And Newport appear to have beaten the Vegans, um, which I presume is Forest Green. Will that be right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you see, I do. Even though I don't really watch football anymore, I do follow it a little bit. Anyway, evening to Alf, evening to Chat Mega Horse, evening Stee, evening Griefsy. Um, yeah, evening everyone. We're in for an interesting evening. Already had a little bit of a chat of that first Churchtown Fulchester game. Jens Lehmann. Well, we'll get back to him later, no doubt. 0-0 draw between Astor Athletic and Lokomotiv Boston. Astor down in fourth. That was a quick visit to the to the top of the pyramid that they had there, Asta, wasn't it?
yeah, it's a bit harsh, isn't it? You don't win one game and you're back down to fourth. But yeah, that just sums up the top kind of 8 of that league at the minute. It's very very tight, and I'm sure Alf will be ready to go again tonight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Asta come up with. Obviously, Alf was he was kind of playing it down a little bit himself. The whole being top of the table and all that. We know how quickly it can change, and especially with the amount of points in between the teams here. We also had Dragons. Dragons up to third nosebleed territory for the three dicks or the three dragons or whatever they they are at the moment. Arik back on the score sheet. They continue to surprise everyone. A little bit against the odds. We talked a lot about the lack of striking options that they have, but seems to have come good for them, and a difficult one for Northern Burn, who were without Cannavaro and now got Udese sent off as well. A little bit of a steam gone off the Northern Burn sort of train there. Deserved result. Any big surprises for you in that particular game?
No, Dragons doing what they've done this season. They've been competitive in every game, haven't they? And they um, deserved 2-0 win. Yeah, I think Ian was put in a bad spot when he's well, 2 of his 3 good defenders were kind of sent to the stands. So yeah, I'm hoping Ian can bounce back because I'm a bit of a closet Northern Burn fan, and obviously a lot of credit goes to the Dragons boys, and don't worry, they'll tell us how good they are as well. So we don't need to big them up too much.
No, I'm sure they'll be very vocal about that later on this evening. Don't think I've seen any of them in the old. Duggan's there. Sorry, I've seen Duggan a little bit earlier on. Scott's here as well. Let's have a look. We spoke about this one already. Then we had Haggis Hunters up against Dudley Hill. Dudley Hill. I mean, I guess from a positive perspective, they scored 2 goals, but 2 guys sent off. I mean, Luca Toni and the fact that they scored probably good. Apart from that, not not the best for Dudley Hill at the moment, and Haggis Hunters finding a little bit of form before they play you guys. What did you make of this one?
Yeah, Steve will be happy to have scored goals, and to have Tony get 2 is a good thing for his team, and an 8 from Alistair Davey as well, which he could go on to be a good player for him in this second half of the season. But yeah, congratulations to Tato. Every win in the Super League is a good win, so he'll take that all day long, with it being his first one.
Yeah, battle of the interim managers or the assistant managers coming up. I guess later on this evening with Hackett's Hunters and Churchtown coming up at some point. What else did we have? Quickly run through the last three results as well. We had Lettisford, who are in a really bad patch of form. Hools weren't in the best of form either, but they managed to get the win. Van Nistelrooy, crucial for them. He'd hit a bit of a slump, a scoring slump, anyways. But he's back in action, and Lettisford going from bad to worse with Pat Tatsoglu injured as well. Um, which of the two teams do you think is the most likely to crack on and get something out of this season? Hull's Vikings look they had a great start to the season, didn't they? But it's fallen off a little bit for them and Lettisford as well. I mean, they were up there, but look at that curve. I mean, it's not great for them either. Hull's a little bit similar there.
Yeah, Hodgie has shown that he can do this. He can turn it around. He did it last season. I think he started his run a little bit earlier than this, but he's definitely got it in him to win games. And both teams were in my top 6, if I'd have predicted top 6 at the start of the season.
Mm.
And I think Jens as well. He's got the squad, and he's got the knowledge to pull it round as well. So when he's so close up there that anything could happen. But if I had to put money on it, I would say Hulls are in a better position at the moment. But like I said, Hodgie would definitely believe that he can pull it off, or he could be gone in a couple of games, as he said. I think it's his second to last game. He promised he was going to walk away.
Well, we'll see what happens in terms of the sequences. Most game without losing. Lettisford, yeah, it was an 11 game run they went on. So it's definitely possible for them to turn it around. But obviously a bit of an uphill battle now. Right, where did we end up? We ended up. Yeah, an interesting one here. It was the battle of the striker swap. We had although he wasn't really performing Vieri, it was David Collins or the activated cheat code that ran away with this one. Given the sort of scoring form that Sloss had been in recently, perhaps surprising that it was only 1-0 for Bostock, but less surprising the goal scorer.
Credit to Scott for pulling the clean sheet out of the bag away at Slough, because like I say, it's not happened a lot. And on paper, that transfer is bonkers, but we know that just in Super League pedigree alone, this last 2 seasons, that I think it's a fair swap. Although, like I said, on paper, it definitely shouldn't be. But yeah, I think Scott's going to be. Yeah, I mean, again, David Collins playing striker is not something I've done a lot. I've owned him a fair few times in the last few months since I've known about him properly. Playing him striker, I don't often do. So Scott's seen the potential to do that, and it's working out for him. Great guns so far.
Yeah, don't think you can complain about that in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, the pace, the bravery, the finishing, the flair, and these kind of like key stats, and a few of the intrinsic things that I won't pretend to understand involved as well.
Yeah,
But
I don't say that I word anymore. I'm not allowed to. Wood has banned me from using it.
well, I don't think he's turned up yet. I think it's only Duggan so far from that camp. I don't know, Duggan, if you want to stick up for Wooder and his hatred for the intrinsic things, then do feel free to do so. Last up, we had Devils. I mean, they're still without Mpenza, but it doesn't really matter when Vincenzo Montella pops off a hat trick. Oh, Duggan is Duggan is sticking up for him. There'll be no intrinsic communications tonight.
Yeah. To be fair to
Um,
the order, they've done well to check me there. I've in a few Zoom calls at like 2 in the morning got onto the topic, and I've sent everyone to sleep. So I won't be repeating that, especially not now. In terms of the Devils, we all called him a one-man team, or without him he'd be nowhere. But Montel has proven that he's not just a one-man team now, and I don't agree with that kind of narrative anyway, because with a midfield that good, and a defence that's kind of improving, although Fifey needs to do better with it. They've got a very good starting 11. So yeah, no excuses from Fifey, which is he can't kind of excuse any kind of bottling this season. He needs to go on and make the final, in my opinion.
Especially if Pence is back as well. I mean, Diego Tristan has been a bit of a not laughing stock, but he came in and Fife was hoping he could do something. No disrespect to Fife there, obviously, but it just didn't work out for him at all. Whereas Montella, after a slow start, came in and got 3 goals. Obviously, been a little bit more effective than the man who went in the other
Yeah,
direction in
in
that
in
particular game.
theory, Montella and Penza is deadly, isn't it? But you know how it can work out in this game, so the two of them might not click together. So that'll be interesting to see how that works if he's going to play two up front with those two up there. Is it going to continue to score the amount of goals he has done, or will one get a 6 and one get a 7 or an 8 every week?
Yeah, we've seen it with Shevchenko as well, really struggling for goals in the Super League over the last couple of seasons as well. But we'll see what what his manager does with him. Something interesting tonight, I think. So, and then obviously Castells, who I think, I mean, they were again another team that were really doing pretty well in the beginning, and now a couple of 3-4 games with bad results, seen them drop down again. But a strong squad, and you probably expect them to. Well, I mean, you can say you'd expect a lot of teams to turn it around, but when you're looking at the players they've got at their disposal, it's kind of a little bit scrappy from them to be down in ninth, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. And he hasn't won in a few games. He needs to sort it out. I think he was missing Clivert for a while, so that's a decent excuse. I think he was his main man last season.
Mm.
But yeah, like you say, there's probably 10 teams in this league where you haven't really got an excuse for not finishing the top six, because it's a fairly level playing field. So yeah, the only excuse is that the other managers are edging you out.
Yeah, well, that will be an argument that will be made more and more often as we head towards the business end. Let's have a quick look at the table here. 14 games in, obviously, with 12 to play. After this, is it 12 to play? I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, it will be 12 to play. Um, and I mean 5 points, 6 points from first to ninth. I mean it's not nothing is done yet, obviously. And even Haggis Hunters picked up points now. You picked up points. Dudley Hill, although they didn't pick up points, started scoring again. So it could obviously even itself out. And all of the bottom sides tonight, apart from I think Haggis Hunters and Lettersford, the rest of them are all home advantage, if we can call it that, in the league. They all have the benefit of playing at home. Although, as Champs One pointed out, majority of wins in the season coming away from home so far, which is a bit of a surprise. What's Churchtown's home form? Sorry, away form like? Let's have a look.
Churchtown. I've
Well,
I've yeah, I've won two out of the three away games, I believe.
hmm.
I think there was one previous to me coming in. I don't think we've won a game at home all season, so that's something we need to put right tonight.
Yeah, not a single team has got a 0 in the one column. And if we look at the at the home wins, indeed, yeah, out of six, it's been slim pickings for Churchtown. Very, very. I mean, it's interesting because I remember this must have been season 5, I believe, 3 or 4 seasons ago when we first started it, or my first season. I actually thought there was something wrong with the game, or we'd done something wrong because home was like a win and away was almost guaranteed defeat. It was very, very tricky in the beginning, and there were almost no draws as well. So I think maybe I don't know. I don't know what the reason was for it, but this time around, definitely a sort of a very fair split there. Apart from your good selves, I mean that's obviously a very interesting game. It always is when two teams that are close to each other in the table meet. A proper 6 pointer there. Potato Mourinho just joined as well. Any of these games that you're particularly looking forward to, or think will be of particular interest for the neutrals tonight?
I think mine is Boston Dragons. I want to see how the Dragons get on in the chip shop car park. Um, yeah, I think for the neutral we want goals, but we know I don't know how Greaves is setting up tonight, but I imagine it's fairly negative. So I would like to see the Dragons come out on top on that one if they can. It'd be interesting to see if the Devils can carry on. I know their form usually is a bit patchy, so they won one last week. Can they go away to a tough place in Bern and win? Apart from that, and I think to be honest, I've been focusing on my own game, so I've
Hmm.
not really looked at the other fixtures apart from doing a quick predictions thing sent to Fifey for the table thing. But there's no bad games in my opinion. There's no bad games at this moment in time. There's no one cut adrift. Everyone's competitive. So yeah, I'm looking forward to all of them really.
Yeah, it'll be good. We'll take them in order as we normally do. Greavesy says he's playing two up top, so we'll be looking forward to that. It's going to be action packed apparently. We'll do them in the order as they come. So we'll start with Bostock Stanley against Astor. We'll skip the Churchtown Haggis until the end as we usually do, and then just run through with Dudley, with Gazelles, with Hools. Hools we can play at any time because Jens is going to get drunk. So so I'm provisionally in charge of the Hools tonight unless he turns up, and I'm not sure in which state. Obviously, being a bank holiday tomorrow in much of Europe.
Yeah, I mean, the other night he'd had a few drinks and the Swamp League was on. And he brought on Jeremy up front, so
hmm.
I suggest that even you couldn't do, or even you couldn't make worse decisions than that.
Well, I've tried in the past, but yeah, he did say don't do any kind of swamp league stuff. So we'll fine. Let's have a look and see how we get on as we begin tonight's action. First up, I think we were going to go Bostock Stanley against Astor, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. So first up, we've got, as mentioned, Bostock Stanley here. I can't remember what I'm gonna have to refer to my documentation here because I can't remember what changes what changes he's made. But the old cheat mode. David Collins is obviously up top. He's got Lisa Rasu, I think, came back. He's out on the left wing. Milevski's there as well.
Yeah,
Um,
from the looks of it, I think he's got a couple missing at the back, Neville and Lasisi, I think it is. But apart from that, he looks to be fairly similar at least.
yeah, it's a strange one for me for Bostock. I was surprised to see them get off to such a rough start. I looked at the squad and I was like, maybe it's kind of natural. They're getting off to a bit of a rough start. Maybe it's not that good, but they did have some decent players, and now they're turning it around again. It seems like it, it's a changed team, isn't it? In the last 4 or 5 games that they've had out here.
Yeah, they've won the last four without conceding. Um, Scott got off to a poor start, and he'll admit that himself. He did mess around a bit when he shouldn't have done. Let's put it straight. But when he's taking it seriously, he's proved that he's very very good at this game. So I wouldn't want to come up against him. And in fact, I've played him a couple of weeks ago. I've only lost one of my games so far, which has been a bit of a weird start for me because I wasn't expecting that. But Scott is the one that beat me.
Mm.
When on paper it was the bottom two playing each other. So yeah, I just think he's gonna qualify the league now. I don't think he can carry on winning every game. That'd be mad. But I think he'll fancy his chances tonight. He kind of knows that he knows how Alf's going to set up. Alf knows how he's going to set up. So yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see. And if Bostock carry on like this, then you wouldn't put them off making the top 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously had a relatively strong run last season as well. One thing I was interested to note, Vincente, who hadn't really he came from Hools, had actually done okay at Hools, didn't really feature much for Bostock last season, and then he didn't really feature at all in the beginning. Suddenly he's included him, and he's got 4 assists and 4, so he's working really well with David Collins. Obviously, Salva the only one. I think he had high hopes from him bringing him in from Dragons, where he hadn't done anything, and he hasn't done anything here either. So the question is, how many chances does he get before Samuel Etu comes back in? But he has such a poor start to the season, average rating wise, that might be a while. Only sort of concern maybe Ariel Ortega on right back, but I mean,
Yeah, it's something we see quite a lot with like forward rights playing right wing back, and it never seems to let you down. They're not gonna win the man of the match out there, but
mm,
you rarely see those players have a really bad game. So I'm not too worried about that for him. But he has got a few players in that team, like the likes of Vicente, Salva, that don't, and Ortega even. I don't personally kind of fancy as players on the game. Um, so he's doing it with different players. They're not the household names that us champ players know and love.
Yeah, not many people would have picked that those three. I mean, maybe Brosek season two, three. He's definitely not a bad player, but I don't think anyone would have gone. Oh, I'll have those three AMCs definitely. So,
Yeah,
but he's definitely getting a tune out of them, and it'll be interesting to see how he's obviously without Lasisi and Gary Neville, so there's strength to come back there. He's up against an Asta side. Alf has changed a bunch of stuff around again. He's put Matt Holland out on the left side to get Nedved over to the left. I don't think Danielson was really working there. OGS is back in. Franca's there. Rui Costa in a solid central midfielder role. Shea Given for some reason in goal. I think Dudek actually did okay. He got an 8, but it's Shea Given who's also had a high average, to be honest, who's come back in. What do you make of Alf and getting Shearer scoring in the Super League and things like that?
yeah, Al's class. I think the given and Dudek thing is he believes that they play better, or Given plays better when he doesn't play every week. So I think that was the reason behind that. But Alf in general, yeah, I love the way he approaches the game. It's great to see, and it gives me hope that I'll be playing into my 70s as well.
Yeah, well, it's whenever I hear people going like, "Oh, I'm kind of fed up with, oh, I don't really know what save to start, and oh, I'm not really sure," and stuff like that, and you see Alf just hammering along with his Super League saves, getting results week in, week out, and still enjoying it. It's very encouraging, obviously, for those of us who occasionally feel a bit of a CM fatigue that that we
Yeah,
we can.
definitely sets in every now and again. And those players, like I said about a couple of Scots, not ones that people fancy, like Solskjaer. I would avoid him like the plague on my home saves and stuff like that. So and I certainly wouldn't be choosing to sign him um, in the Super League.
Voluntarily.
So yeah, and Matt Holland on the right wing, you just wouldn't do that. But obviously, Alf is no fool. He knows that these players are going to do a job there for him, and I think what he does is he kind of looks at the stats that will complement those around each player.
Hmm.
That's my understanding. Like that, looking at him from the outside, I think that he wants. I don't know. He's off the ball to be at a certain level between the three forwards, and his finishing to be at a certain level and stuff like that. So make sure that each of them complement each other.
Hmm.
You never got kind of two or three of the same players, the same sort of players next to each other.
Yeah.
So that side of it kind of interests me. It's a bit like in real life, isn't it? When you're selecting a team or a squad, you want players to complement each other. So that I think that's quite a different take on it that Alf has.
Yeah, I definitely see a completely different type of players and much more frequently players playing what other managers would consider out of position. But Alf seems to know what he's doing. He's definitely, I mean, he's just been at the top of the table very recently, so you can't really argue with that. Scott in the comments says he thought Nedved would continue at right midfield. He's getting a little bit worried that Ariel Ortega won't be able to contain him, but we'll see how that goes. Five is
Fair
early in with
comment.
the
Fair
predictions.
comment.
Five is early in with the predictions there with a 3-1 Bostock win. Let's see what everyone else has to say about this one. Steve, Tato, anyone else with your predictions? Feel free. What do you make of this one?
I predicted 2-0 in my predictions I sent through, just because Scott has been playing really well, not conceding goals, and that's the way I see it going. But he wouldn't rule out, would you? He has these kind of mad patches in games where he'll score two or three really quickly. So it could be anything, but it's home win for me.
Yeah, well, it's a home win for a lot of the watching hordes as well. Oh, Dan Megahorse says 2-2, Greavesy 0-0. Alf goes for an away win, but then we've got Potato Mourinho with a 2-0 home win. Ian Edwards 3-1, Steve Wright 2-1, and Rob says 2-0 Bostock. We'll kick it off and we'll see if David Collins gets on the score sheet again, or if the wily old defenders at the Astor side can hold firm against the cheat code or cheat mode, well, whichever one it is. It's quite a good start for Astor here. Well, quite a good start for both sides, actually. Had a couple of chances here in the first 10 minutes. Yellow card for Sylvester, but it's OGS picking up a knock here. I've seen Alf in the comments. I'm presuming it's a straight swap for Scholl as he is either footed. But I'll just wait. I'll put him on and I'll wait for Alf to confirm if he wants to make any changes. Anything you would do differently?
Potentially move either Nedved or Costa into that role, but um, yeah, I would. I would go straight swap. Yeah, I think that's what he's doing.
Yeah, he says Scholl, so that's fine. We've done that. So let's get back on with the action. Mehmet Scholl, obviously, I think he had a was it a brace or a hat trick he got in a not so distant match. Either way, we'll see if he can bring something to the game tonight. Rui Costa, Kalushny. There's quite a lot of action going forward from that Asta side, to be honest. But Bostock Stanley coming back with their own attacks now. Seen David Collins' named a couple of times, but yet to uh, yet to hit the back of the net with any of his attempts. Ortega trying his best down the right hand side up against Nedved. Oof, couple of good chances there for Asta as well. Andre with a good save or two, keeping them in the game. Wayne Dade, the referee, someone who's quite keen on flashing the old cards. So we'll see if the players can contain themselves in the second half. It's it's a lot of. I thought there were more chances than that. It was very even though.
It seemed like a lot of action for kind of 5 shots on target.
Yeah, even first half though, and a lot of the tackles going Alf's way, but they've picked up 4 yellow cards already. As mentioned, Wayne Dade, one of the strictest referees in the league, and someone who's quite happy to dish out the cards. Maybe something for the managers to consider at half time. We'll have a look at Alf's Asta side first and their performance. Right, so both central defenders and one of the DMCs on a yellow already. Alf says he doesn't like the referee. I'm not surprised. Rui Costa on a yellow there as well. Anything else that stands out to you in terms of the first half performance from Asta? Good tackling though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the bit that stands out to me is the quite a few tackles in the central areas, and most of them won, and some danger yellows there for Alf. So maybe that's something you want to look at before, because I know he's kind of a bit of a Nostradamus when it comes to predicting these red cards, so he might have an opinion on that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he goes for a substitution of bringing Marco Raymer on, who I think can play both on the right hand side of his 3 DMCs and also at the or at the right hand side of his 2 DMCs rather, and also at the back probably, if I'm not much mistaken. Yeah, he definitely can. We'll see if Alf wants to make any changes. And in the meantime, we'll have a quick look at the Scott and Bostock Stanley and how they've oh, no change. He's keeping it just in case someone gets sent off. Let's have a look at the Bostock Stanley. Well, they are in the danger zone as well with the yellow cards there. Sylvestre and Good Johnson already on yellows. Lisa Rasu in the captain's role doing well. A little bit more cynical in front of goal, maybe. David Collins only had the one shot. What's the key for Bostock in the second half? Do you think?
Looking at that, Sylvestre, I'll be taking him off, but he's not got a direct replacement, has he? I don't think Welsh is best at centre back, so it'd be interesting to see if Scott takes a risk and moves Milewski back or something like that. But yeah, they've got to feed Collins. We know what that's about. He's had one shot. If he has 2 or 3 shots in the game, he will get a goal. And it looks like it's going to be a tightly contested game. So just feed David Collins is what I'd be trying to do.
Yeah, trying to get the ball to as much as possible to him. Saba, who'd been probably the poorest of the 3 frontmen first, is sitting on a 6. I'm just waiting to see. Yeah, Eto. He wants Eto on for Salva. I do like Samuel Eto. Um, Mostly in real life. I'm not entirely sure about on the game, but we'll go with that one for Scott. Um, Lisa Rasu be a massive loss when he gets too old. Yeah, well, he is 33 or 34 or something like that. But yeah, he's one of those guys that's very very difficult to replace. I guess Cafu on the other side as well. Can I switch Franca for Scholl? Yeah, I guess you can. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You could have done it earlier, so you can do it now. It was an injury, so I think we're good with that. Yep, absolutely. Well, with that having been said and done, I'll go back to the second half action and see if Bostock can find a way through, or if Al can continue to hold firm with his players on yellow cards there. Oof, Eto trying to make an early impact there, running forward just 3 minutes into the second half. Good save by Andre there, I think, from Shearer, and it's oof, another good save from Andre. He's really keeping. Oh, and there it was. Bostock, the first one to feel the wrath of Wayne Dade, who, along with Wayne Oldham and I forget the last guy's name, but there are 3 or 4 referees that are very, very strict in the league. Scott, what have you got to say for yourself here? Let's see what Scott has to suggest for us? What do you think? I mean, is nil-nil? Does he take off? Does he bring off one of the AMCs and put John Welsh in there, or how would you do this one, Lee?
I would, yeah, I would sacrifice an AMC for John Welsh.
He's taking
Yeah,
Brosick.
I mean, he is at home. He could have been a bit ballsy and gone for it, but I think it is too open. So I think it would have been a bit of a stupid move.
All right, so central the two AMCs and Welsh down where the player got sent off. Evening Wooder, thanks for joining. Um, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for us for Bostock to hold firm now and keep that clean sheet. But Andre has been on form so far. Let's see. Aston not out in the danger zone when it comes to red cards either.
Yeah, Aston have been on top so in the second half so far. So if it carries on like that, they'll get a goal.
Yeah, they keep trying. It's Andre in the goal, keeping Bostock in it at the moment. Franke with fierce shots and Shearer and parries, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the in the Bostock defense here, and the goalkeeper's been on form. And here is
Oh,
Ariel Ortega against the run of play with a sucker punch. 20 minutes to go. Is a question of whether they can hold firm now. 15 minutes to go. Shearer keeps trying. Takinadi's coming forward. They're piling on the pressure, but it's it's really tense down at the at the Bostock half. Desperate defending. 2 minutes added on. Vincente coming forward here, spots the runner, swings in a pass. Nedved coming down the other end. Here comes Rui Costa. Yellow card for another player there. Just a couple of minutes left. They looks like they're going to hold on, and they
wow.
do. Whew. Alf says, hard luck, Scott. You're playing well. Still might win. That was Alf's comment during the game. Andre is an absolute wall. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's not a full on champing, but it's as close as you get, isn't it?
It's a bit lucky on Scott's part. But you take the good luck, and he's playing well. I'd be gutted if I was Alf. How many times did it look like he was going to score there? I counted about 4 or 5 where it looked like he was the kind of flow of the text looked like it was leading to a goal. So yeah, gutted for Alf. That's yeah, that he obviously will drop down the table a little bit more probably tonight.
Yeah, and good
But
news for.
Scott showing why he is bang on form there.
I mean, what is that? 5 games without conceding, 5 wins in a row without conceding.
Yeah,
That's pretty solid. And what did Ortega do? And it was John Welsh with the assist actually. Ortega dribbled past Hoffland and Hupia. And a great strike for him there. So yeah, and then Andre holding firm. Let's have a look at the Asta performance. I mean, what do you say to this, Lee? Actually, there's nothing negative to say about that Asta performance. There's just Andre just on. I mean, just couldn't get past him in the goal, could they? Shots from everywhere. It's the right players having the shots as well, isn't it?
yeah, it's 5 shots, 3 on target from Shearer, and no goals. That's the kind of the key to the game. But yeah, all round it was pretty solid. Um, yeah, Alf can't get too worked up about that. He did talk about changing his formation if he didn't win or lost tonight. I kind of I kind of hope he doesn't in a way because he's playing well. So yeah, I mean it's Alf's decision obviously, but I wouldn't tear it up for a 1-0 loss against a run of play.
Yeah, he says that Shearer starting to show his age. I mean, I don't know. 32. His stats are still pretty good. I mean, maybe lacking a little bit in terms of the pace, but apart from that, he's been pretty solid. Obviously, not his best performance tonight. Let's have a look and see. I was gonna say there's no surprise for Man of the Match award, is there really?
No, Andre the Giant again. I said Ortega wouldn't be a problem on the right wing back role, and he's got the goal and an 8 as well. And yeah, he's not made any tackles, which is surprising when he's up against Nedved. Um, but yeah, just Scott doing Scott things, and I think if he won 1-0 every like that 1-0 like that every week, then he would be a very happy man.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's a tough one. It's a tough one for and Sylvester. What a turnaround for Sylvester as well, as Tato pointed out there. He ends up on an 8. Um, I mean, if you look at it from a tactical perspective, it worked. What Alf had set out to do completely worked. David Collins hardly had the ball. He had 2 shots the whole game, lost his headers, but it was just Andre was just a little bit too strong, a little bit too strong for Asta Athletic and their strikers this evening. So yeah, very very interesting game and well done, Scott. Obviously very exciting in terms of chances and an interesting result for Bostock given the run of play and the red card. But well done to them and
Yeah,
off to
that's 16 points for Bostock in the last 6 games. So I mean that shows what can be done with a nice run.
that is all that's needed. Next up we go to Dudley against Spartak Sloths. So let's have a quick look first of all at Steve and his side here. Um, Unsurprisingly, Luca Toni is in here. He's got Ayala and I believe Patrick Anderson at the back here. Both teams with some big suspensions in the next game. Well, it's possible, Duggan points out there, that there's a lot of yellows on that red card. Anyway, back to Dudley Hill. They had 2 goals last time out. It was Luca Toni with both of them. Sloths, they've scored a lot, but they've not defended particularly well. Is this Dudley's chance of getting back to winning ways? Do you think?
He's got a chance, yeah. He's got a chance definitely. I think Steve's kind of talking to him. I'll take him messaging him fairly regularly. I know he's kind of thinking, and he was tearing his hair out a couple of weeks ago, but he seems to be a bit more kind of chilled out to it and letting it come to him at the moment. And I think he's just hoping that by doing that he'll get a win, and it could easily happen tonight because Sloths are on a good run, but they're not unbeatable by any means. Steve's got some good players in there. A couple I don't particularly like, but he's a bit. It's a difficult situation when you've lost kind of 7 games in a row. There's going to be some pretty poor ratings from good players. So how long do you stick with them for before you move them or replace them? So Steve's in a difficult situation now, and I think he's got a chance tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if Luca Toni can do what he did in the first game, that's obviously going to be a great help. And Hernan Crespo, you can't say I mean, if you want 2 strikers who can actually score goals, then you would have thought with those two. Maybe the supply is lacking a little bit, but who knows? Van der Vaart looks like a very, very strong player already, just looking at his stats, but hasn't really performed that well. Hasn't played that many games, but we'll see if he can get out of them. A few maybe unknown faces here. Cut the Andersons, maybe not my favorite players, but we'll see. At least he's got Sergio Conceição a little bit higher up on the pitch, probably better for him. Yeah, interesting. I mean, they definitely could end up with a win tonight, Dudley. And it's a good side, and they're up against a Sloth side who in their last match, obviously, Sid Roberto man of the match, but they lost 1-0 to Bostock, and they've made a couple of changes. I think nothing super serious. I think Tomadero's come in. I think Albertini came back in, perhaps. Um, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah, Albertini came back in. Tomadero's in there. Vieri, Pizarro. He's going with the 3 strikers. Away from home, I mean, he's brave, isn't he, Rob? In terms of his formations, he doesn't kind of like he doesn't overthink the defensive performances when he's on the road, does he?
Yeah, he's brave. He just kind of goes for it. It's a good way to play the game. He's not going to beat himself up about tactical tweaks by the looks of it. He sets up in a certain way, and if it's working, he's not going to change it too much. I wouldn't usually play anything like this, but it's something I've considered because it's been working for himself a bit, and I think Craig at Gazelles
Hmm.
used a similar formation a lot as well. So it's something I thought about playing, although it never would have crossed my mind before. Um, I don't know. It's all relying on Ziriberto, which isn't anything new for Rob, but he's that good that he can do it by himself most weeks.
Yeah, I mean, good contributions for him definitely. And if you can get the front three, even one of the front three scoring, then he should be in with a in with a shout anyway. Um, in the comments, we've got 2 away wins being predicted already. Fifey says 4-1 away win. Potato Mourinho 3-1 away win. Shock Spot. Um, yeah. Lee, what do you reckon to the potential outcome of this one? Greavesy's on a 0-0 predictor.
I've predicted 2-0 to Dudley, which should probably please Rob, because I think Sloths for me were the hardest team to predict when it comes to putting the prediction in the old comments or Super 7,
Hmm.
because anything can happen. So, and I usually get it wrong with Rob. I think last season for the first 20 games, I predicted he would lose every week, and he won most. and then I started believing in him and predicting him to win. And he completely fell apart. So yeah,
True.
2-0 Dudley.
True, that's a fair point actually. Yeah, I've seen a couple of home win predictions coming in here. Mr. Campbell with a 5-0 prediction, Chat Megahorse 2-1, Duggan 4-2 away win, Alf says 1-1 draw. Let's kick it off and see what the Dudley can do in this one. Dudley Bill 2 exposed at wing back. Apparently, says Wooder. Sir Roberto
Yeah,
will run riot.
would have speak sense sometimes, and Zeriberto against Conte Sao is a it's a
Bit of
big question mark
mismatch.
for me.
Well, we'll see. We'll kick it off and we'll see who comes off the winner in that particular matchup. Does look as if Spartak Sloss are off to a good start. Pizarro with the opener for them there. Salihamidzic coming forward and Christian Vieri makes it 2 on 14 minutes. Doesn't look as if the morale of the Dudley Hill side has been on the up despite the 2 goals they scored. But it is Tony who's in with a quick goal here on half time. Let's see if we can get another one before half time. They are trying, but it's Pizarro. They are back to their free scoring ways. Spartak slots in this one. Um, yes, I mean not the greatest goalkeeping performances at either end, but it looks as if it's a bit of a lobbocking in the first half. Poor tackling from either side, and as mentioned there, poor goalkeeping as well. Um, 31% ahead as one. I'm just trying to think what else could have caused that. It's actually Tomadera with the assist. Say Roberto, as you mentioned, with one as well. Um, Solid from Sloth. They'll be disappointed to have to Edwin van der Sar conceding, but they make a habit of conceding. But at least they're back in the habit of scoring.
Rob's teams are definitely entertaining, and he's doing it again. 4 goals in the first half and 3 for himself away from home as well. Just they're good to watch, aren't they? I enjoy watching the Sloths, and yeah, like you said, if he gets one of those strikers firing, he'll be all right. And he's got 2 goals, 3 goals from 2 of his 3 strikers, so he'll be
Yeah,
over the moon with that. And it could be worse.
and two
Dudley's
assists
team,
from the two
yeah,
assists from the other one.
if he was in the stand watching, they should be worried for Dudley Hill, just because the probably heads would have dropped and the morale will be fairly low. So I'm hoping for Steve's sake that he kind of makes some kind of comeback, even if he can't win it.
Yeah, I mean it's a rough watch for the manager in the first half. Let's have a look at the performances. So Matteo Sereni picks up a 5, and the manager's already pulled him. We'll see if Steve wants to make any other changes here, but it's not been a vintage performance from Lee Boyer in that DMC role either. I'm not sure what the if he was good enough to versatile enough rather to play in that role. He's probably good enough, but whether he's versatile enough is probably up for debate. Massantini comes on for Sereni. Any other changes you would make if you were the Hill manager?
I would make another change just to kind of try and alter the momentum of the game. I don't know what that change would be. It'd probably be Alex, but then I don't know. I wouldn't take Serginho off, and
Mm.
Van der Vaart possibly. Um, yeah, so I'd get Alex on just because he's a bit more creative and he might be able to make something happen. He's going for Lopez, which is understandable because Alistair Davies not playing well again.
Yeah.
In terms of Bowie at DMC, I've got absolutely no problem with that. But it's big shoes to fill with Tomasi being out, and I think a Tomasi-less Dudley Hill is an easier team to play against.
Yeah, well, it certainly looks like it. Anyway, Ayala said as captain, and we'll have a quick look and see how the second half gets underway. If Dudley Hill can find, I mean, a quick goal for them would kind of be key, wouldn't it, really? But we'll see if they get it. Um, they're certainly coming forward. Conceição trying. They got to get that ball up to Luca Toni. He looks to be the man on for. Oh my goodness. Um, that was the whole second half. Sloth just sat back. Not a lot happening there. Only 4 minutes to play. 2 minutes of added time. Let's see if Serginho can do something here. He's coming forward. Van der Vaart moves in on goal. Crespo with the header. Van der Sar parries. They say he clears it. See if Dudley can come forward and maybe get something. Nope. I mean, I don't know what Sloth did in that second half. It's just like they just sat back and did nothing.
Yeah, it's the worst thing that could have happened for Steve, just to kind of let it go out with a whimper. I suppose Sloss could have scored 4 more, but he'd be unhappy that they've had no more shots on target. There's no real fight. it's a difficult situation for Steve. I don't want to stick the boot in on him. I don't think it's not all his fault, but he needs to stick at it. It'll come good at some point. It might not be this season, but get a few wins together at some point this season, and he'll feel a lot more positive going into the summer break.
Funny you should mention not sticking the boot in. I just saw the comment from Fifey there. Without sticking the boot in, is Ole Steve the worst signing of the summer? And then you
Oh yeah,
go, without
do
sticking the
that.
boot in, it's not all Steve's fault. So
Well, that's the thing. Steve's such a nice guy. It's hard to be overly critical of him. He knows it's not good enough. We don't need to tell him. I'm
yeah,
not one for doing that.
yeah. No, but it's difficult when you're sitting in the situation. I mean, I've been sitting in this situation talking about the BTEC and Northern Burn to some extent last season, and Swindon Devils, and we've had other sides down at the bottom, and sometimes it's difficult. And me personally, I've gone 13 games without a win in the Super League, I think, as well. Sometimes it's just difficult to know what to say. Either way,
13. 13.
yeah, I think it was. I mean,
Wow.
someone will tell me otherwise, but yeah, it was quite poor. I did have an exceptionally poor side and then proceeded to sell the best players, but that's a story for another time. When was the last time Crespo scored? I'm not entirely sure. Duggan asks. Solid performance for the Sloths here. Nothing really to add to that second half performance. Tomadera getting the man of the match with his 2 assists. Um, Never done drugs, Ian, but feel like some hard lines at the moment, says Steve. Well, Luca Toni at least didn't let the side down. I would suggest everyone else. I mean, not sure if it's come back to the completely back to the drawing board and rip everything up and start again, but it is tempting, I think, when you're in a situation like that. I suppose at some point you just go, right, I'll write off the season and then try a couple of players from the reserves, try a few different tactics. I guess
Yeah,
there's
I believe Steve will be making a few reserve swaps. That's something he did say a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think that would have changed his mind.
mm,
Luca Toni's the bright spot. He's got 3 goals in the last 2 games, and he looks like he can contribute at this level. So yeah, if you can get Tony and Crespo scoring, which doesn't look likely for Crespo at the minute, he will win games this season. That's a definite.
yeah, it's interesting actually with Luca Toni. He was someone who um, Craig a couple of seasons ago was struggling for a goal scorer. He had Luca Toni in the reserve, so he was never really playing him. Then because I think the team he was managing, due to how the league's created, obviously they were in this Oceania Cup or whatever it is, and Luca Toni scored about 40 goals against those like Tuvalu and these kind of small islands. He brought him in and it was just a complete failure. But it looks as if he's doing okay for Dudley. So we'll see what happens with Dudley Hill next time. Next up this evening, we've got the Gazelles actually against Leathersford. Believe Hodgie. I'm not sure if Hodgie's working. I haven't seen him around. I think he's on nights at the moment or evenings. Um, but yeah, let's have a look at the Gazelles. Um, you mentioned Kluivert there in the beginning, and he has been without him for a few games. He is kind of his key man. I think what Craig does when things don't really go his way is that he goes like it doesn't regress, that's the wrong word, but he goes back to really basic. He plays the best players in their best positions, regardless of what tactic, and then just plays the tactic that kind of suits them. And I guess Keane and Jeremy's there. None of this trying to DMC in midfield. Seedorf is in there. I think he plays best there. With Cafu and Dede on the wings. He calls it Gazelle's free fall in terms of the tactic. What do you make? Oh, there is Haji. He's watching the Rhinos to double up on disappointment. He says. I'm not sure. I think that's a rugby thing. Um, what do you make of Gazelles? Is that the way to go? Is that something Steve should consider maybe, or would you ever resort to that if that's the right word when you're in trouble? Just go completely back to basis, everyone in their best position, and just hope for the best.
It's sound logic. Yeah, I agree with it. Um, yeah, completely. So yeah, Steve should maybe think. Well, I know he's not got any DLs or DRs, so he can't really do 4 at the back. But basic in terms of putting your best players, best positions, um, it can definitely be done. And I don't know, I don't dislike the Gazelles. I think everybody else kind of overhypes them, and maybe even Craig would agree with me on that. Um, I think they've got some big names, but they're not always names that perform.
Mm.
Ferdinand, Seydorf, Figo, Raul, they're not they're not all players. They're all top players in the game or top players in real life at least. Attribute wise, they look like they should be world beaters, but they're not always the case. I love his fullbacks. I think they're two great fullbacks. And I'm not really sold on the DMCs either. They're not bad, they're solid. But in terms of going back to something like this, I completely agree with Craig's logic. And I think, yeah, it's worked for him before, hasn't it? So I can't see why it wouldn't work again.
Yeah, it's a solid starting point. I think Roy Keane probably not disappointment of the season because he's obviously played quite well, but usually he's someone who's a very dominant, someone who's talked about week in week out in terms of his tackles or whatever. He's on 4.9 successful tackles per game, which I believe we can have a sorry, super quick look here. Which I believe isn't anywhere near the top of the league. I mean, we're looking at Tomasi with 8, Stam 7. It's definitely not where Roy Keane would expect to find himself in terms of tackle. So that's probably one of the main problems I would say for the Gazelles. But we'll see. Maybe that's about to change this evening. They're up against a Lettersford side who definitely aren't in form. And this is the tactic that Hodges gone with. I'm sure he mentioned Jason Wilcox in the logic behind that. I'm not entirely sure what the logic was, but I'm sure he was mentioned. Um, Something a little bit different. Arrows in on the AML and the AMRs. Ronaldinho, he's obviously pinning his hope on him. What do you make of this? You said earlier that Hodgie is capable of taking Lettersfoot on a long unbeaten run, sort of Bostock style at the moment. Do you stand by that statement, having seen this?
I think, yeah, he did mention Jason Wilcox. I think it was maybe another database he was playing on the game, and
Ah,
he
true.
had Lasso and Wilcox on the left there. So that was his thinking. So Gardner's his Lasso and Hersey is his Wilcox. Ricardo Gardner is not one I would think about playing, but he said he's a strong version of him, and you can see why he's thinking that. Low work rate would worry me, but apart from that, he looks like a fairly solid player indeed. Hodgie in general, like, yeah, he's proven he's good at this game. He's good in this league, and he's done it time after time. So, like I said, you wouldn't put it past him going on a run.
Yeah, I
Looking at his
mean,
formation, I wouldn't fancy it tonight. I wouldn't. But that's just because of the AML and the AMR. But it could work. You never know. It could work. And Ronaldinho up front of his own, I don't got no problem with that at all. I think he's as good up there. I've never played him up there on his own with no one behind him, but I've got no worries about that. It's
yeah.
just whether he can get the ball to him.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, probably potentially just a matter of time before he starts delivering results. We'll have a look at the predictions. How many games after this till you quit, Hodgie, says Mr. Campbell, who has, funnily enough, already kind of quit himself by letting Tato take over. So we'll see if Lettersford can get the result here tonight. In terms of the predictions that are coming in thick and fast now, Swindon Devils 5 says 1-1. Ian Edwards go for a 2-1 home win. Alf goes for a 3-1 home win. Steve Wright 3-1 home win. Duggan says 1-1. Oh, Gardner leave. Sorry, Mr. Campbell. Yes. No Twitter date tonight. You're or are you just ignoring her?
He might be finished already.
Oh, that's true. That's true. After the success of last week, I'll leave. I'll let him have I'll let him have the night off.
Yeah, if you want to send Martin proof, then feel free to do so.
Yeah, because that went down well last time. Either way, Potato Mourinho with the only one predicting an away win so far. But let's see what do you think? Did I ask you already? No, I don't think I did, Lee.
I think
What?
I put 3-1 down, but looking at the two teams, I would go tighter than that. So I would say 1-0 home win.
Indeed, indeed. Well, let's see if that is going to be the case. Oh, it was a quick first 15 minutes here. It's been mainly Gazelle so far. Half an hour gone already. My goodness. And this is coming up to half time. It looks as if these two teams are just cancelling each other out. That was a bit of a non event of a first half, wasn't it?
It's gone. Yeah, I did say when I saw the two teams that I fancied to be tighter. I wasn't expecting to be quite that tight.
Um, not a lot of talking points to be completely honest. I'll put this team up so that Hodgie can make any changes if he wants. He's obviously got Fernando Torres on the bench, but he's only got and you wouldn't want to take Ronaldinho off for Fernando Torres, really, would you? Shocking performance, says Hodgie, first half. It's not been great.
Yeah. Ideally, you would obviously change shape, and you would kind of scrap the plan, but he can't do that, can he? So it's difficult to change the game with those subs.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Addo, Wes Brown, they're not game changers, are they really? Not for the better, anyway.
Yeah, I think they're both solid players, aren't they? But they're not going to kind of make the zero shots turn into more than zero.
No, be brave man to try. I mean, I guess he can go Torres up top and take Hersey off, but Hersey's been, yeah, I was going to say that. That's actually exactly what he's saying. He's taking Hersey off, who's on a six, for Torres, and then swapping with Ronaldinho. That's kind of the only option he really had at his disposal. So yeah, that's exactly what I thought. That's that one taken care of. We'll have a look at the Gazelles. I mean, Craig is the better side and much the same. He doesn't really have any options on the bench. I guess you could put on Agahawa for Figo, but it's not going to make any difference, is it really?
Potentially not. No, he's got some people making tackles, which are giving him an 8. But it's been dross, hasn't it? Should we just move on?
Yeah, let's do
if
that.
there's no subs.
Let's do that. Fire up the second half and see if we can get to the end of this and hopefully get some goals along the way. That's Patrick Kluivert coming forward, dead A with a cross into the box. Yellow card for Keane. Highlight of the game so far. Someone picked up a card. There's been a few more chances in the second half, to be completely honest. Not sure if they've been that much more dangerous than what we had in the first half. Second half is going to light up, says Ian Edwards. There was a penalty claim turned down. I noticed that. Don't think I want to put this on slow speed, to be completely honest. Um, Good chance there for Gazelles, but yeah. I mean, Gazelles were in it a little bit more in the second half. Didn't really change anything for Lettersford making those changes or making that change with Ronaldinho coming on. Um, the less said, the better, I guess. Hansjak would pick up a 9. Good goalkeeping performance. Ricardo Gardner gets an 8. Vogel and Ambrosini, solid performance as well. I guess attacking wise, it was the problem for Lettersford. Torres comes in and has a shot on target. Anything to add?
Not really. Esteveria with a 5 is disappointing. He was in his in theory, he's a very strong position for him outright and tucking in, and should work on paper, but it clearly hasn't. I think it was just the supply to those front men was the problem there. And Butts kind of saved him in the end. He's a very, very good goalkeeper. He's been his best player this season.
Yeah, I mean, slightly disappointing when I guess, but to some extent, Andre's been the best for Bostock as well. I mean, obviously, a bit of an unsung hero, but we're starting talking about him. But has done an okay job here as well. Craig will have been disappointed not to find the back of the net, but Keane, as mentioned there, he's coming in with the tackles, and obviously that's helped Gazelles completely nullify the attacking threat of Lettersford. But Rio Ferdinand getting 2 of your shots as well. That's that's never a good look. Um, I mean, both managers will be, I suppose, happy enough with a clean sheet and a point, but at the same time disappointed they didn't get more out of the game.
Yeah, they're at home. They've had the majority of the shots. They should. Yeah, you feel a bit gutted not to win. Um, but in terms of going back to basics, there's nothing more basic than a 0-0 draw, is there? So he might be quietly pleased with that. Something to build on.
Mission accomplished, and if he swaps Figo out for Agahao or Castillo in the next game, maybe something else will happen.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and only one more game for Hodgie to turn it around.
yeah, he says he stopped the rot now, so that's always something. So we'll see who he plays next, and whether that will indeed turn it around for him. Um, in terms of our fixtures, we've got Who's Vikings coming up next. So interesting to see how they'll get on without their manager in the dugout. He's currently eating fermented fish and drinking snaps, I guess. So we'll see how Who's do without him. Um, they have Van Nistelrooy back in form. He had a couple of goals. Van Bommel in that role, Rivaldo. It's you mentioned there in the beginning you fancy them to get back into the top 6. I guess not really much to add to that. It's a strong lineup, good players. Van Nistelrooy, if he gets the goals, then it should be plain sailing for Hull, shouldn't it?
It should be, yeah, but they've got. Well, I'm not sure Rivaldo or Nicky Franco are in form at all.
Mm.
Not from what I can remember anyway. I think that's where his problem lies. And in terms of saying, I think he should finish in the top six. It doesn't mean he definitely will. And there's a lot of teams in a similar position to him, isn't there? I don't know with this team. I do like it a lot, but at the same time, I can see why it's been a bit patchy. It's not nailed on performers apart from kind of Ndai and probably Churam and Sanyol. Um, Fan
Mm.
bomb as well. Yeah, to be fair, it's a good team. He should be doing better, and I think Jens will be keen to turn it round. Yeah, and Ndai's been absolutely amazing for him. He's been an absolute rock. So with a four across that middle there like that, it's going to be very difficult to break down. And I think Maka will probably be well. He's as formidable with his defensive display, so it could be a tight one. This.
Yeah, definitely could. Hodgie says, "Sorry guys who wanted my job." So this is stopping the rod. I think he just needed a point
Oh,
to
fair enough.
to stay in the game. So he's back. But yeah, as you mentioned, Jens says he'll be shouting at Nikiforenko. I mean, it's piss poor. I have no idea why he plays him. But that's that's a topic for another day. Surely to God, Kutuzov or someone else, Semak, even anyone could play over this clown. I mean, anyway, rant over. I I have no idea. I mean, I guess he's like a sort of David Collins type player, but so many games of not delivering and still being picked week in, week out. He's got Devayo, he's hardly given a chance. He's got Kutuzov, he's got this Gerard fella who's actually decent, but didn't really do much for him last season. I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised, I guess,
Yeah,
that
if
Nicky
he gets
Forenko
if
still
he gets
plays.
fed up with Nicky, if he gets fed up with him, I'm sure there'll be a few teams that would be willing to trade for him. So it might be
Yeah,
something we'll see. If
yeah.
he carries on performing like he has done.
Well, I mean, just if you're looking at the defensive side of things, they're obviously very, very strong. But the question is how many creative players he got there. So he really needs those two to feed into Van Nistelrooy, as you mentioned. And Fulchester's not an easy opponent, and we'll have a look and see how they line up. I think is that right? Oh yeah, I guess so. I guess I put Proton in for Bot. Yeah, I have made the changes. Um, so Chris Sutton continues his run. He's a bit short for goal scoring options, isn't he, Mister Maka?
I think Butt's a big miss for this team. Just looking at it, so I didn't hear what your question was, but I'm just looking at the team itself. He's just very difficult to play against. Last week he properly restricted us. Um, I think he was, I won't say he was lucky, but two shots went in very early, and from that point, I never had any kind of hope of getting back into it because he's very good at seeing the game out.
Yeah, they've
And
got
yeah,
a
if you look at the team, though, I'm not actually a massive fan of a lot of the players, but with Maka in charge of them, you expect a solid display and probably a win.
Yeah, they definitely have been putting out some solid displays so far this season. Off to a poor start, but they've definitely come back and proven to be the Fulchester side that we've seen before. I was just mentioning that their attacking options perhaps aren't the best. I mean, Chris Sutton being a relatively regular starter is a bit of a surprise to me, but we'll we'll see if he gets on the score sheet
Yeah, I
tonight.
think the rotation of the strikers is working for Maka. He's not frightened to put one in, take one out,
Mm.
sub one on 45 minutes. So the rotations worked for him. So he's probably just sticking with the plan.
Yeah, I guess when you've only got like guys scoring 2 or 3 goals in 7, 8 games, it doesn't really matter. You might as well just rotate them and get the most out of them and keep them all kind of happy. So that's working out okay. I'm just looking at some of the comments here. Tato Mourinho says 1-0 Fulchester, NDI to win, 13 out of 17 tackles.
Yeah, that's something along the lines I predict as well. I think.
Ian Edwards says a 1-1. Steve says 2-1. Either way, he likes both teams and managers. Biscan man of the match. Some non-result related predictions coming in here. Lee, what do you think? Who do you think is gonna take all 3 points tonight, if anyone? Greavesy comes up with his fourth 0-0 prediction of the evening.
He'll be right at some point. Well, he has been right already,
He
hasn't
was
he?
all right already.
I think I predicted 1-0 Fulchester, but if you look at if you actually look at the two teams, you'd fancy Hulls, but for some reason I'm drawn to Fulchester 1-0. Just the Mako way.
Yeah, well, the original shithousing could be about to happen. He is without Nicky Butt though, which is kind of his talent and player. So we'll see how that impacts the game. Steve Wright says 1-1. Ian Campbell goes for a 2-1 away win. Let's kick it off and see if Hull's Vikings can do something with their absent manager here. I believe Maka might be absent as well. I've not seen him or Ryan about this evening, so we'll see how it goes as Hull's take on Fulchester. Good start for Van Nistelrooy, getting plenty involved in the first minute, but failing to score. Giggs coming forward down the left-hand side. Ryan Giggs obviously been a decent player for Fulchester down the left-hand side. Perhaps not as influential as we've seen him in. That was bound to happen, wasn't it? Is that two fingers up to his manager? Maybe. I think his manager was saying that he was fed up with him as well, but he's probably not going to go anywhere now, is he? With that contribution in the first half, Giggs picks up a yellow there just before halftime. Bit of a quiet one-ish, a few chances, and it's Hull's Vikings who take the lead. Nikiforenko, unlikely source of that goal, picks up a loose ball after a Van Nistelrooy header. What do you make of the first half? Solid for Hulls, solid with the 7 defensive players there.
Yeah, it's impressive first half from Hulls, but there wasn't much happening, was there? I think I'd expect a bit more second half, maybe. But yeah, I'm interested to see the stats of both teams to see what's happening. It's probably a loss of tackles in the middle where they're missing Butt look yet. So Prutton's not winning tackles.
Yeah.
Where Butt would be, and on the other side, I imagine it would be NDI winning all of them.
Yeah, well, it could be not a lot of passing going on either. It doesn't look as if they've had the ball much, to be honest. I've neglected this screen a little bit, but yeah, in terms of possession, it's been Hulls who's been having most of it, yeah, not great. Steve Wright says, think the words "this clown" did it. Let's have a look at this clown and see how he's how he's shaping up in the first half. I mean, it's not bad, is it? It's not bad. 2 shots, 1 on target, and he's the one getting an 8. Sol Campbell and Billy Samuel. You mentioned Ndiaye there. He's actually not been that impressive either. It's
been fairly quiet today. Yeah.
Overall, a bit of a quiet first half. Sol Campbell dominant in the air and on the ground as well. But apart from that, anything that kind of stands out to you?
Nothing in particular. No, Campbell's been superb, and Nikiforenko's scored a rebound. I think there's not much more to say on that half, really. There's no passing. There's probably no quality. It's probably just a very scrappy game.
Yeah, Saviola done nothing. Anyway, as both managers are out there doing things involving alcohol, presumably. Lots of running with the ball there from NDI. 5 successful dribbles. Didn't expect that. But either way, we'll kick off the second half and see if Hulls can hang on to this one or if Fulchester can find a way back in without the talismanic Nicky Butt in the center of the park there. Beckham tries from the dead ball there. I don't know if that's why he actually brought him in the hope that he would do something as a dead ball specialist, obviously. 10 minutes left to play. It's kind of now or never for Fulchester. 6 minutes of added time. Can they do it? It's Comandini. 5 minutes into added time, and it's Comandini who gets the equalizer for Fulchester. Not against the run of play, because in the second half it was Fulchester who really started to come into it. Still Jens with all the possession though, but that's a sucker punch there right at the end, isn't it? Let's see how the goal came about. Constanzo did well to get his fingertips to the ball. It was another pouncing on a loose ball after a header, but it was his own header actually that he picked it up from, and it was a great cross by Beckham apparently. Buffon man of the match. That's surprising to some extent.
Yeah, I was about to say the original shithouse kind of strikes, but he did deserve something from the game looking at the second half. Donati's a big letdown in the middle, but David Prutton's turned it around massively in that second half, and Buffon looking very good for him. I don't think he's not been the best keeper in the game like he probably should be, Buffon, so it's good to see him to put performance in. But I think one thing that probably went against McAleer is that he's not here at half time to make that sub, because there's no way that Sutton and Saviola would have still been on that pitch, and one of them, Michael Owen, probably would have ended up with a 7 or an 8, which might have even gone better for him if he hadn't been able to do that.
Yeah, that is true. The benefit is obviously being around, so to make those changes. But that's sometimes that's just how it goes. And of course, his opposite number weren't there either, and you could maybe argue that he could have done something at halftime, such as well, he probably wouldn't have, considering I think it was Samuel was maybe on a 5. He could have maybe brought on Coco, I think, but he's been poor anyway, so he probably wouldn't have done much either at halftime. Um, a little bit unlucky there. Let's have a quick look, by the way. Who was the 14 of size? We're just going to see who's the culprit there. Ah, everyone. That's fine. Um, can't really pick out a culprit as such. Just Buffon, isn't it? That's kind of keeping Fulchester in it. Anything that Jens could have done differently, or I mean, there's a solid performance from all the players, really. I think.
No, I don't think there is. I think look at the ratings. It's a good performance. Like I say, Buffon's kept Fulchester in it, and then they've sucker punched with a bit of a goal. But there's nothing much more Jens can do there. He's picked the strongest team he can in the right positions. They've played pretty well. He's just come away with a draw. And it's the Super League, isn't it? It's the Super
Yeah.
League.
It definitely is, and Van Nistelrooy back in non-scoring form, unsurprisingly. He has been literally hit and miss this season with that's 15 games now and less than a goal every other game or thereabouts. Not great for your sole marquee striker, although he does have Martin Palermo on the bench, but he's not been brilliant. Although he did okay-ish last season, I guess. But we'll see what Jens comes up with for the
I
next
think,
game.
yeah, I think both guys will be happy with a point there. To be honest, it kind of keeps them ticking over. I think they probably respect each other as well. I think, yeah, if I was them in their situations, a point's not the worst result in the world.
5, he says Comandini due so season-wide recognition. Um, some season-wide recognition. I'm not entirely sure what, but Comandini, yeah, he's done well coming in for Maka definitely. Question is if he'd had better strikers, I don't think Comandini would have ever had a look in. But yeah, that's something that he's he's obviously dealing with. Next up, we have Lokomotiv Boston against the Dragons. Big game coming up. We have got Greavesy, Wooder, and Duggan all being very active in the comments this evening. So contrary to the previous match, we'll definitely have some interactions here. Let's have a look at Lokomotiv Boston and how they line up this evening. They've got Pancaro out. A couple of changes there. They've got the Del Vecchio coming back in. They've got Roycer, Petit there in the DMC role, um, Ronaldo and Kessman up front. So he is going two up top. So you can't complain too much about that in terms of his defensiveness.
No, absolutely not. That's a good team, strong team. I think it's full of players that I would trust myself, and I think obviously that's what Greavesy does as well. He gets players that work hard and the ones he trusts. Well, he does also try like a star name to try and turn the season around, doesn't he? Trying to prove a point with some bigger name players that don't usually do it, like Aymar and Ronaldo.
Mm.
But yeah, I do like that team, and it's very similar to how I set up tonight. So I can't criticise the formation, or if I did, I would be criticising myself. So
Yeah, I was going to say if Bartes is another. We don't really speak too much about Fabian Bartes. I mean, but he's a solid keeper for them as well. One thing that has surprised me a little bit. I mean, Emmanuel Petit came after it recently with a couple of good results. That's one area where he's not. Although he has good players in there, he's got Ramalov who's done it in the Super League before, 7 something average. Olivier Dacour is probably the biggest surprise with that poor average rating in there. Um, do you think? Have you heard any transfer rumors? Anything about Olivier Dacour? Do you think he's going to be? Do you think he's going to be out? I think Greasy was indicating that he was going to give him a stint in the reserves.
yeah, I know he's definitely heading to the reserves, isn't he? And I have heard rumours of a transfer, not from the source though, so I wouldn't say anything. But yeah, he's ruthless. He's a good player that's not played very well in a few games this season. He's out the door. It'd be interesting to see if the transfer I've heard about comes off. It'd be interesting to see that other player in the lineup next season. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a bit of a heavy hitter, I think, for many clubs. It's obviously interesting when you see these big guys moving because that's something that you can use to leverage bringing in. someone else good instead of swapping kind of like positional players. If you're short of a left back, unknown-ish left back, you might go for Pancaro, but someone like Dakur could maybe attract a bigger fee in terms of a swap. So we'll see what happens with him. Someone who they don't really need a DMC. They've got their say Elias, they've got Saeed. I think they're pretty well covered in that particular area. The Dragons, good result for them last time out, and they go again. They've got Oliver Kahn back in, Coleman back in in those AMC roles. They've done a good job. We spoke about Dragons already. Constantino, I've been harsh against him before. I will be again and see if it helps. Um, what's their weaknesses other than the front three, which is spoken about at length, which doesn't really seem to be weaknesses? Do they have any weak spots at the back? Do you think?
I don't think so. Weakness is a strong word for Taribo West, but I would suggest they could do better there. But I bet he's playing okay this season because the Dragons have been good at the back. Um, they've done it sensibly. They've built a team, they built a squad from the back forwards, and they've said it themselves. The striker short, the lack of a striker, the lack of a top class striker isn't an excuse for not making the playoffs, definitely, and not doing well.
Mm.
But their argument is they would be better with a top striker. Obviously, of course, they would. Goes without saying, really. And if I had a top striker in my club, I'd think twice about letting them go to Dragons because there'd be a tasty team with one.
Yeah, I'm trying to decipher Wooder's comment there. Who's lobbed Hargreaves not in the bench there? I.
I think there's too many like double negatives going on there. I don't know what he's saying, but I think he looks like he's surprised to see Hargreaves on the bench. But I
All
imagine
right. Well,
because
that's
it's probably
he's
because
gonna
he's
have to speak
title.
to Hopkins and Duggan about that then, because it's quite clear Hargreaves is on the bench. I've got it in I've got it in writing. Emerton in for Sowery as well. So I'm sure this is the right way to go. Anyway, predictions in the chat, please, for how this one's gonna go. Is Greaves gonna shit out his way to a win here, or can Dragons do it on the road? Where's Carrick? He's right there. No one's asked for Carrick. I'm just double checking.
I mean, it makes sense because Hargreaves can play across all three positions, so
Yeah, I was gonna
Woodard
say.
needs to wind his fat neck in.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's arguing with me or Duggan, but either way, this is the lineup they're going with.
But
Uh,
knowing them two, it'll be with each other.
right, Owen Hargreaves gets right.
Number 10.
That's what you get. That's what you get. Hargreaves picks up number 10, number
I
10
know, I know
shirt.
some people would be really upset with that.
fully deserved. Steve Wright says he can't call it. Ian Edwards goes with the 2-1 home victory. Swindon Devils manager 5. He says 3-0 for the Dragons away from home. Alf says a 3-1 win here, and Potato Mourinho 1-0 Boston. Hargreaves to come on to score the winner, no doubt. Greaves, he goes 0-0 tonight again. Yeah, Ian Edwards said that would wind me right up.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
know. Like someone like Mega Horse Dan would. He likes to pick his squad numbers. So I think that might irritate him. It don't bother me. I find it quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, I
I think
wouldn't. I
most
wouldn't.
people would. Most normal people would. Most sane people would.
I wouldn't go out of my way to give a player a silly squad number, but if I just auto at the start of the season and whatever, yeah, because I know that the game doesn't assign keepers number 50 and strikers number 1 usually, so I usually just wing it. Steve Wright with the boldest prediction so far, 4-1 home win. What do you think, Lee? Boston to pick up 3 points here, or Dragons to be strong on the road?
I predicted 0-0 before. I didn't look at the teams much this week. I've been a
Mm,
little bit busy, so I didn't see. Well, as I say, I've been busy. I was still on Twitter all the time, but I didn't see the Boston team ahead of predictions. So I predicted 0-0 on the off chance that Greasy did his usual away thing. But looking at the two teams, I would fancy a score draw now. I think 2-2.
well, let's hope we get some goals in this one. Locomotive Boston to kick this one off as they take on Dragons. Jim Bellos in charge of the action tonight. Um, good solid start for Locomotive Boston there coming forward. Martin Reuser, let's call him that, gets the goal disallowed for Boston on 5-6 minutes there. Continues to be Boston in control of this, still coming forward. See if Dragons can find a way through with the counter attack here, but it's Aymar coming forward as well. Serene to Del Vecchio. Again, Martin Reusser. Dragons coming back. One counter attack there. Here comes another one. It's that Bauma down on the left, who's probably been their best player so far, but it stays 0-0 coming up to half time. Boston all over them in the first half. As mentioned there, just a couple of breaks for Dragons in terms of possession. They've had most of the ball. They've just decided not to do anything with it apparently. Let's have a look at the Dragon stats. Oliver Kahn steadily sitting on a 9. Let's see if Duggan will put his money where his mouth is and put Hargreaves on for the second half.
Number 10 up front, yeah.
Well, can't do much worse than Constantino did in the first half. I mean, passing okay, but didn't really get himself in a scoring position, did he?
No. Khan with a key header, which would have been good to see, that big floppy yellow head coming out of goal. I mean, how beautiful would it be to see the Dragons have one shot on target and win 1-0 just for the neutral?
Yeah, Duggan says back up top for Constantino and Karagounis on for
Yeah, and that's where Dragons are weak, isn't it? Karagounis is not a player that I fancy much, and his stats look okay, but he doesn't tend to get many assists or goals. So hopefully, for their sake, I've just cursed that one into happening.
Yeah, I think you need to be stronger in your dislike or your your downplaying of certain players. I think we need to go into clown territory like we did with Nikiforenko for the full effect. But we'll see if
he's a Greek hoop lipper. I don't like him at all. So yeah, let's see what he does.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. His garbage shouldn't be be on the bench, says Wooder. Steve Wright agrees. Duggan's in for a rough night tonight. Let's see if Greavesy wants to make any substitutions here. What can he do? He's got Ricardinho he can bring on in that central midfield for Martin Reusser if he wants to. Apart from that, it's difficult, isn't it? Kessman and Ronaldo's not been too bad, although Kessman with 3 out of 7 passes, it's a tough one. But Inzaghi on the bench is always an option, isn't it?
It is. Don't know if he'd bring him on or not. It's been on Ricardinho for Royce, which I can see why he's doing that. Greasy has a lot of shots, and I don't know if he does have long shots on his players, but he might do that. I would suggest that he might do that just to inflate his numbers to make him look like he's an attacking team. So it's not an impressive performance, that is it? If you look at the actual numbers, the amount of touches and the front players, it's not good. So although he's had a lot of shots, it's not an impressive first half performance.
Not really. Tackle's not particularly good either. Del Vecchio, well, you wouldn't expect him to do a lot of tackling, but still, we'll see in the second half. We'll keep the speed up until the last 10 minutes or so. See if anything happens. Lokomotiv Boston obviously have had a goal disallowed, so they can find the back of the net. Let's see if they can find it legitimately in the second half, or if Dragon's new AMC will prove his worth for the team. It's Kessman. Oh, got his goal disallowed as well. A second one chalked off for Boston, but here is Serene, the third goal of the evening, and finally one sticks. They continue to dominate, continue to be the ones creating the chances. Oliver Kahn definitely keeping the Dragons in this one, but we saw in our last game that things can change in the last 5-10 minutes. Let's put this one down on a little bit of a slower pace as we go into the last 5 minutes here. It's Aymar coming forward, Ricardinho again. Unlikely goal scorer, Serene, I feel, but it obviously Greavesy will be very happy with a 1-0 win. He always is. But it is Karagounis who's coming forward. There's an offside down the other end. Would feel very, very hard done by if Dragons managed to get something out of this, having 2 goals disallowed already this game, Greavesy. But they are coming forward now. Here is back Klumpy with a good tackle, and there's Karagounis from range. But it's not to be. And Lokomotiv Boston, I won't say shithouses it because they completely dominated that game and could have perhaps won a little bit more with if those goals hadn't been ruled out. Lokomotiv Boston back to winning ways. Solid performance from Greavesy there, I guess.
Yeah, it's comfortable, wasn't it? Dragons would be disappointed with that. I think they were really hoping for a win in that one, so it will be disappointing. And although it wasn't spectacular from from Greece. He's definitely been in control of the game, that's for sure. Um, Interesting how the goal came about. So Zambrotta doing stuff again as he got an assist.
Yeah, I think he
Another
probably
assist
did.
for him.
Yeah, it wasn't Sambrata assist obviously did not work out for him at Northern Burn at all, and he's come into to Boston, who obviously quite happy to snap up such a an influential player, and he's been very very good for them since joining. Um, Petit getting man of the match, so no way back for Oliver Dacour for sure.
No, Petit's good in there. I like him. He's one. I think he's one you can trust. He's a bit versatile as well. So yeah, he'd be pleased that he's coming and play well though, because if he didn't, then he'd have a big question to kind of to answer and a big kind of hole to fill in his team. Ricardinho done well off the bench as well, so he'd be happy with that. So yeah, just it's just a comfortable win, and Dragons have been great all season, and they deserve to be where they are in the league. And losing 1-0 is not a problem, is it? It's just it's the way it kind of happened without a fight that would be a little bit worrying for the guys.
Yeah, a solid defensive display there. Probably maybe they were trying to fight, but it just wasn't no way they were getting past Petit and Klumpe there. Oliver Kahn stays with his 9, which I guess is fair enough. Saving 8 out of 9 shots is not too bad, but Tariba West not having a great game, not winning, not even contesting a single header, and then it's just really down to the front players. I mean, Karagounis did potentially even worse, and Constantinu coming on, getting a 6 as well, but actually picking up a yellow. Back and Cole, completely anonymous. Petit and Klompe dominating them. Um, different constellation of the front three, maybe is that worth trying, or should they just hope for a home game next and go for it? Dragons, do you think?
I'd be looking to mix it up with someone from the reserves. I don't think they've got many options in the 24-man squad for
Mm,
the front three, but I'd definitely be looking to mix up a bit. Yeah, they've proved that a couple of those players aren't gonna cut it, and just try something else until you can kind of work that transfer out with someone to bring in an extra body up there. Um, yeah, I would just mix it up with someone from the reserves. But there's
mm.
nothing to worry about for the Dragons. They just need to make sure they bounce back next week.
Yeah, no, they're still having a much better season than than they've had in the past. Well done to them so far. But yeah, a bit of a it's a tricky place to go anyway and get a point away from away at Boston. But losing maybe a little bit, not what they'd hoped for. But either way, not disgraced themselves completely. Oliver Kahn making sure of that. Um, Next up, penultimate game of the evening, we've got Northern Burn against the Devils. We'll be seeing. Um, what's his name again? Barry Ferguson in action. First up, let's have a look at Northern Burn though. Um, he's changed it up a little bit, or has he? I think he has. Burn home to the Devils. Yes, he has changed it up a little bit. He's got Jagatos coming back in. Was it Jagatos he was missing? Yeah, exactly. It was. He was playing this formation, wasn't he? It's back to something a little bit more Super League familiar, and Dragatas is back in. Tsigalco got pulled at half time, I think, last time out. That's a bit of a brave move. I know he had a 7 and then he was on a 6, but you got to leave Tsigalco on, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think Ian makes many half-time subs, so that was surprising. Not something I noticed at the time, but yeah, I think yeah, you got to leave Maxim on the pitch, but he has got other good options to come in. Unlike the Dragons, he's got other good options behind that. So even like Robin in AMC and one of the two lads moving up, so he's just got a better options in those forward positions. I like this formation. It's one I would look to play if I had the right personnel.
Mm.
Um, I do like it a lot. If you can get the right players, it definitely will work. And I don't think Ian's far off having the right players to make it work. I do like most of the players in that team.
Yeah, and Del Piero for some reason doing a good job for Northern Burn. I was just thinking in terms of goalkeepers. He had Toldo, who for some reason is not. Yeah, I was gonna say, should Toldo not be in goal? Why is West? I was gonna say, I was just gonna double check that actually. I was gonna say, why is Westerveld in goal and Hedman on the bench? Who do you want on the bench, Ian? I knew there was something going on there.
Well, that was a
Uh,
big downgrade. if that was to happen.
Yeah, it did look a little bit weird to me, but yeah, sometimes it obviously goes a little bit too quick in terms of setting up the squad. But I'm glad I've adopted this new tactic of of discussing it a little bit before clicking continue. Well, so that aside, yeah, good Northern Burnside. A little bit of a uh, they were unbeaten in forever, and then they've had two poor away games now. They've got a home game against the Devils, and they've got a couple of tricky games coming up now. So quite important for them to pick up 3 points before they take on Vikings away from home, and then Fulchester, which is going to be another tricky one. But we'll see if we can get. Or if Ian can get Sigalko back in the goals, that'll obviously be
It'd
a
be
big help.
very quick about Cannavaro back in the team as well. I think he was missing last time out, or he got sent off. I think he was missing,
Yeah.
and the days he got sent off. So he'd be pleased he's back in time for this one, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Cannavaro, obviously a very, very important player for him with good tackles, good passing. Maybe not with the hugest average, but sometimes that's not what's needed. It's just that stability at the back. Walter Samuel as well, obviously next to him, not a bad player either. Again, with a huge number of tackles and a very solid, ever-present performance from him. Nice right-hand column, as some people like to point out as well. However, it's a tricky game for them, I think, because they are up against the Devils, who looked strong in terms of scoring goals last time out. They've got Montero in there, they've got Montella and Impensa up front. There's goals in this side. We've got Barry Ferguson, who deserves a bit of a shout out today because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's like a manager of what are they called again? Kelty Hearts, down in the Scottish non-league, who got promoted to the league uh, this this afternoon actually. So well
I
done
didn't
to
realize.
Barry
I didn't
Ferguson.
realize he was the manager. I saw that earlier. Yeah, surely
Yeah,
he could have started higher up than that. But fair play to him.
yeah. I think did he not try? Did he not try his hand at
As he
that?
already failed. Yeah.
I think it's one of those for it's of no interest to anyone here, but Scotland has obviously for years run this kind of parallel league system, which was called the juniors, which was nothing to do with juniors. It was actual adults playing football, and there's a lot of teams there who are much better supported and much stronger financially than probably half of the teams in the actual league. And now they've adapted this sort of proper pyramid structure, so we'll probably start to see a lot of these teams sort of filter into the actual SPFL or whatever it's called, the league system there. So, but either way, that's a story for another day. Um, Van Bronckhorst, Kieran Dyer, Montero, Nesta. I mean, Guigu is probably the strongest link, sorry, the weakest link rather in this side. Any other weaknesses you see in this Devil side?
No, none at all. I think Guigu is the weakest, but he's not a weak player by any means.
Mm,
And I think at DMC you can, if you've got a good team around it, it's not a as long as you've got a competent player in there that's not going to miss every tackle, if you're pretty much fine. So yeah, I wouldn't call him a weakness, and his average rating will suggest that he's done quite well. But yeah, I love that team. That's a really good team. It's a bit more open than I would do in the middle, but it's worked for him. So I don't see any reason to change it, other than the fact he's away. I know 5 Feet had a different plan for away from home, and it doesn't seem to have stuck to that plan. Um,
yeah, it, did,
but
it
it's
didn't.
just a great team. Look at that bench in bad either. Ventila's not the best, but in terms of backup centre backs and backup forward, there's not many better on the bench than Juliano and Keane. So yeah, just a really good squad.
Yeah,
And Byford deserves the credit for building it as well. I know he got lucky in the draw, but he has made some smart transfers as well.
yeah. Megahorse says it didn't work out for Clyde. It was Clyde he was at. That's true. Yeah, it didn't work out for him. So he dropped down to the Lowland League. But as I mentioned, Kelty Hart's probably got like 3 times the budget of of Clyde anyway. So I'm not sure it's such a big drop for him. But either way, Steve Wright says I should have taken Brooking in. Honestly, all right, okay, well. It's an observation there. Either way, predictions in the chat. Predictions, Lee, for this one. That's a difficult one to predict, isn't it?
I'd gone 3-1 away in the chat, and then yeah, I'm going to stick with it just because of how strong the Devils look on paper. So yeah, 3-1 away.
Oh, Steve Wright says 2-1 away win here as well. Um, I've got a I've always just not disliked Sigalko, but I've always had a bit of a Sigalko. Is he a little bit of a? But actually, after doing some of the 100 goal challenges and all this kind of stuff, I've sort of warmed to the guy a little bit. So I'm, I'm kind of hoping that he'll contribute, and we'll get an entertaining game. Potato Mourinho says 2-2, 5 his arrows to fire to victory. Says Mega Horse 3-1 away win. Yeah, there could and should definitely be goals in this one, but let's kick it off and see how it goes as Northern Burn take on the Swindon Devils. Oof, that's a big push from the Devils for that early goal, but it's Sigalko creating chances down the other end here. Um, yeah, there's end-to-end action. Tigalco keeps having shots. Devils keeps coming back at them. Here comes Fiore forward. And here's Tigalco involved again. 15 minutes in, and there's Tigalco. I think it was his fourth or fifth shot on target already. He's definitely been very, very heavily involved here. 20 minutes gone, and it's Northern Burn with a slender lead. Oh, but I did say he was ever present this season. That's the end of that run for Walter Samuel. He brings down Impensa, and this is going to be a tricky one for. It's going to be a tricky one because Lucas Neal as a central defender, maybe not. Is he going to pull back Gattuso to a central defender role? What do you think? What do you think?
I think he tried that last week and it didn't work. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what he did, but I think it was Gattuso centre back. So it's the same situation Ian was in last week, and it didn't turn out well for him. So it is a tough situation. There's not much he can do. I don't think you trust Lucas Neal at centre back, but he's not. There's not many options, so he might be tempted to just do that.
Yeah, I mean they play with two strikers, so it's really risky to go one at the back. Obviously, I was going to say he could put Gattuso, pull Gerrard back to Gattuso and put
Yeah,
kind of
I
Ari
don't
in the
know
middle, maybe.
if one of the wing backs is decent at kind of jumping and strong enough. I might be tempted to put one of them back to
Yeah.
centre back and put someone else out wide.
He says Lucas Neal for Del Boy, which I presume is Del Piero. Move to centre back and Thierry Henry central. Do you want the arrow on still, Ian? And we can discuss Lucas Neal in the meantime and his potential prowess at centre back. Keep arrow on Henry, he says. Well, we'll see. Is there a penalty here as well? I think.
I'm not sure. No.
No, there wasn't. It was just a free kick. Let's speed up the commentary again. There. Oh,
Oh,
Barry Ferguson with a goal, but it's been disallowed. It's going to be. It's, oof, they hold on till half time. I mean, it's going to be. It's going to be tricky in the second half. Look at Sigalko, how much he was involved here in the beginning of the game. Sigalko, and Sigalko finally gets the shot. Gattuso with the assist for Northern Burn. Super super solid performance from the Burn side. Apart from obviously Walter Samuel and Lucas Neal's not done terribly, but he's still on a 6. Um, what's your prediction for this one, Lee? Do you think Northern Burn can hang on to this?
it's going to be very, very difficult. He's got Lucas Neal up against Emil Penza, I believe. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. I would suggest that, yeah, Fife would be disappointed if he doesn't get a draw at least. I think he should be looking to win this from this position. But yeah, in terms of the actual team performance, it's been really good so far. Very good start from Burn, and the goal was obviously a big one from Maxim, who was very active early on. But it's going to be so difficult now.
It's going to be a tough one to hang on to. We'll see if Ian wants to make any changes. In the meantime, let's have a quick chat about the Devils and their performance. Kieran Dyer down the right hand side has been very influential. Robbie Keane for Kuhl seems like the obvious substitution to make, although Impensa has not been brilliant either. Do you think Fife will make any changes here at halftime?
Yeah, the Cure one's the obvious one to do, but I don't know if it'd benefit the team with Robbie Keane in there instead of Cure, because you've got that kind of a bit more, well, in my mind, a bit more creativity with Cure, a bit more flair than Robbie Keane gives you. But Dyer's doing his usual thing down that right. He must have had a few runs as well, but 2 key passes and another 9.
Yeah, 5 runs down the flank as
Yeah,
well. He's a nester with 5 interceptions, something I don't normally pay much attention to, but he's done well. Fifey wants Keen for. Okay, I see what you're doing.
yeah. Swap it over. Yeah,
Keen for Emerson and then putting Kewell down there. That's actually
brave.
that's a brave one, but a decent shout. A brave one because I mean they're down to 10 men, but Thierry Henry has done a decent job there. I mean we'll see, we'll see. We'll kick off the second half and see if Northern Burn can hang on to this one. I'm slightly, I'm not sure if nervous is the right word, but curious to see how this one goes. Ferguson had the goal disallowed of already, of course. It's I mean, he's got to go for it, Fifey. So obviously brave substitution there, but doesn't look as if it's paid off so far. We'll see if fitness plays a part in the last 10 minutes. Obviously, Northern Burn just need the one. Sigalco just need that one shot on target to kind of ruin Fifey's evening here, but they are coming forward now. We'll slow down the pace a little bit as we head into the last 5 or 6 minutes. Here comes Keane, here comes Dyer. Dyer with a cross, Toldo smothers the ball. Good to see him in goal instead of Westerveld. Could have gone terribly wrong if that had been the case. Lucas Neal doing a solid job at the back here. But here comes Keane and here comes Montella. Oh, but it's Cannavaro who blocks it. Montero tries. It's a goal kick. Ferguson comes forward. Here's Keane. They're piling on the pressure now. Last couple of minutes. Didn't see how much time was added on, but it looks as if we're coming to the end now. 4 minutes into overtime already. And it's actually Northern Burn who's coming forward with a chance here. And there is the final whistle. Another manager wins with 10 against 11, same as was it Bostock was down to 10 as well, weren't they, earlier on this evening? Um, what a result for Northern Burn, and what a disappointing second half for the Devils.
Deserved from Ian. I think that's a great performance. And yeah, look at this. It was a very even game, but you'd expect Devils to come into it more. Five, you'd be pulling his hair out with that one. That's a bad one with 10 men for most of the game. But yeah, congratulations to Ian. I think solid performance in that first half, and it's obviously carried on to the second.
Yeah, I don't think you hit the woodwork 6 times, Fifey.
I saw him hit the bar twice in the last 2 minutes, so he might not be far off.
Well, either it counts as just maths, either woodwork counts as on target, in which case you should have had 6, or it counts as
Yeah,
off target,
five,
in which case you
five.
should have had 6. So it can't have been 6 really, unless one of them was
Unless it was
offside.
tipped onto the bar.
True. Right, Fifey. Ian says he'll be replacing the goalpost at the furnace. Well, maybe you did get 6. Maybe you did. Maybe the game is miscounting. That has definitely happened before, so I'll give you that one, Fifey. Let's have a quick look and see who the main culprits were in terms of running offside. Mpensa and Kieran Dyer, perhaps surprisingly as well. They did try, but I mean, just inaccurate shooting, really, wasn't it, from the Devils?
Yeah, and Kewell didn't get much better in centre midfield. So looking back, that's probably
Yeah.
the wrong substitution to make. But yeah, five. Like I say, five would be pulling his hair out with that one. It's a chance to start another unbeaten run that's gone missing. Um, I think yeah, it's very disappointing.
Yeah, we'll be disappointed not to beat the 10 men, especially for that amount of time. Sigalco, not entirely sure how he got the goal, I guess. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what else he's done to warrant a 9 and a man of the match. On Minecraft to add Lucas Neal statue to the furnace, says Ian Edwards. Lucas Neal comes in and does a solid job there at the at central defender. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I think Mpenza helped him by just standing offside for most of the second half. But yeah, fair play to him. He's come in and got 7 when both of us kind of didn't fancy it, and I imagine Ian probably didn't fancy it as well when he was coming on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think he did. And look at that performance from Jogatas there with 8 tackles and four of them key down the left hand side. He was one who came back in this week, Contra as well. So overall, I mean, solid, and Ian will be very happy to be back to winning ways and quite probably back in the top 6. I think if my maths aren't completely out. Um, yeah, which leaves us with just one game left this evening. We've got the Churchtown up against the
Basement
Haggis
battle.
Hunters.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, save the basement battle to last. I think we probably should put this one first. I think it's not fair. We dropped to 12 viewers at the minute as well. So, um,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
I don't think we'll have many more in about 5 minutes when we get going. Because I'm not expecting a thriller here. Maybe I'll be wrong. But I'm hoping to grind out another win. But yeah, I'm not overly confident at this point in terms of my team. Ashley Cole's back, which is good for us. It means I can move Kaladze into the middle, which makes us look a lot more solid. I tried to go a bit more solid further forward, and Fifey's kind of mentioned how many defensive players can you get into the team. The answer is quite a lot. And although Powell is more like an attacking midfielder in my mind, if you look at his um, actually where he can play and his attributes as well, he's got creativity and crossing and dribbling and passing. So high technique. So yeah, I do see him more as an attacking player. I trust him more than I do Donny at the moment, and I think Donny can make a good impact off the bench if needed. And up front, need to get Elbert firing, and Santa Cruz is coming in to make his first appearance for me, and he's one that I've never really played with. I know Ryan likes him,
mm.
but I'm hoping his stats look great, his attributes look great. So yeah, there's no reason why he can't come in and score.
Yeah, I mean, it's it should be possible. I mean, there's definitely room for improvement in the squad, but there's also decent players in there. I noticed Matt Poom he's come on and he had a 9. He's in goal this evening. I guess that's correct.
Yeah, I glossed over that one. Obviously, it was Kieran in charge overnight, and there's nothing you can do when your keeper gets a 4. And
He's got to be.
we both agreed that he can't play this week because Poom's done so well when he has played. I wouldn't I wouldn't be against playing Lehman again straight away, but he's
Yeah,
33. Poom's done okay, so that's why he gets the nod.
conceded 27 and 14 as well. That's not a great look. You do have this chap as well who I believe is yeah, I was gonna say he's in Köln in the beginning in real life. Not looking too bad. I'm not sure if he ever gets any better, but half decent backup to have anyway.
If he gets better, then he'd definitely be worth a look. But at the minute, I don't know him enough to trust him, and I think
Mm.
Poom. I've done a derby save on a network, and he never let me down in that until I replaced him about 2 or 3 seasons in.
Yeah, probably just edges it in terms of his handling and agility and reflexes as well. So solid enough keeper there. Boom. Ian Edwards says on the plus side, I do have a nice new kit lined up for you,
Oh,
Dimple. So
fantastic! Yeah,
Dan
I mean
Mega.
that sounds good to me. I like the Churchtown colours, so if I was to carry on with Kieran or whatever next season, then yeah, that's good. I might buy one if you make it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the minimum. I'm not sure what the minimum order is for the. Remember,
I don't think we'll be able to fill that quota with Churchtown fans.
yeah, well, he did the Sigalco and the other kids, didn't he, Ian? And I think that sold a few, but I'm not sure how many he needs to have ordered of each. Let's have a look at the Haggis Hunters. So Tato's gone completely different approach here in terms of trying to get something out of Shevchenko. Um, Formation similar to what we've seen other managers use throughout the season. He's dropped Shevchenko down to. Oh, you just need 10 fat. You just need 10 fat. Well, if you buy one himself, does he not only need? Do you need to buy 11 and do you not only need 10? If you buy one himself, that's only 9.
Yeah, I think 9 fans would still be a stretch, but
It's possible.
see what I can do.
If it's good looking enough and you put a solid name on the back of it, who knows? Or maybe they can flock it over. Maybe Kieran has some local boys who are willing to pick up a couple. But either way, Rossini up front, Shevchenko, Rushiki, Donovan. I mean, they've got a strong squad, haven't they? Any?
Yeah, very strong squad. I think if I remember rightly, there's one slight formation change from last week where Mendietta's dropped back with the arrow on,
Mm,
so it's not dissimilar to what I thought he would play. And I suppose all that kind of criticism that Tato was giving out about formations, and he's gone to a very kind of out the box formation for the Super League. So it's interesting to see. Mendieta should be really good in that role, doing that. This kind of suits him perfectly. And like you say, he's got a very strong team, very strong squad. But we've probably a bit battered morale and confidence. So Tato will just be looking to kind of see if he can get a few okay results and build a bit of momentum. Hopefully, starting next week.
Well, let's see. And what do you make of a playing Shevchenko in that AMC role? Would you would you rather see him there than up front? If you saw that when you're looking at the team sheet, would you rather have Shevchenko as an AMC or as a striker, or does it not really matter?
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm not scared of Shevchenko playing there. I'm not. It doesn't bother me as an opposition manager. But that's not saying he won't kind of score a goal. I know he got one last week from an AMC role. I don't know if he was on the left or in the centre, but
Mm.
yeah, he doesn't worry me in there because I know he's not consistently done it, but he's definitely got it in him to kind of score and have a good game. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's worked out well for Thierry Henry at Bern, hasn't it? So, but we'll see. In terms of predictions, I mean, you're going to go home win, aren't you? Really? So I'm going to leave it to the to the chat and see what they come up with. Um, it's obviously it's a big game. I mean, it's a big game for both sides. Definitely a 6 pointer here. Ian Edwards with a 2-1 home win. Um, it's not going to define your season if you lose this one, but if you're gonna go
I
on a
think
run,
it's an understated big game. This one. So I think if either team win, if we don't end up with a draw, I think you look at the table and you fancy your chances. It does kind of close that gap with all teams in the middle, kind of dropping points every now and again. It's definitely within touching distance if a team wins tonight. So it's a bit of an understated big game, this one. And if if we lose, I think we're back bottom. With kind of zero chance of making the playoffs, so it kind of kills the season for us. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. Obviously,
well, fingers crossed. There's a lot of draws going down in the in the chat here. I think if you get a score draw, I think is Dudley Hill. Do they have the worst goal difference? So if you get a draw, would that mean that Dudley Hill you would both overtake Dudley Hill? Maybe. Well, we'll see.
I'm not sure. But I don't want to be getting into the minutiae of that. I don't want to be on the same level as Dudley Hill at the moment.
Let's see if you can let's see if you can pick up a 3 points here. I'm not familiar with the referee, but obviously anything can happen in the Super League in terms of red cards. We're kicking off the first half. See if Churchtown can pick up 3 points at home to the Haggis Hunters.
No,
It's Donovan with the first goal of the season. I've got to say I've got a soft spot for him. It does look as if not sure if Matt Poom covering himself in glory so far. I don't think they've had much more than those two shots, to be completely honest, so far. Rossini had one there which wasn't on target, but here comes Totti, reducing the deficit just before half time. Can you get another? Nope. Quick first half. Not not a night for goalkeepers, is it?
no, boring but accurate. That first half. Yeah, I'm pleased I got a goal back, obviously, but I can't see myself scoring another two. So yeah, a draw wouldn't be a bad result in the end. I'm a bit gutted about that. I'll obviously have a look at my team's performance in a minute.
Yeah, we'll just have a look at
But
the Haggis Hunters first here and just see. I mean, Yap Stam's been probably their key player, solid there at the back. No one got the assist. No one got any assists. So I was gonna say, bit not the best first half, but yeah, nothing really standing out apart from Yap Stam's defensive display. Mendieta's not having a bad game either, not doing anything creatively, but he's shutting up shop there. So that's okay.
take away the two little yellow ones on the side, you'd swear that was a, a nil kind of performance in the first half. I would say
Yeah,
there's
no
not much
idea.
at all.
Key pass from Iker Casillas. Do I have to look and see how the goals came about? Rossini flicked the ball on
On
Donovan.
my goal kick,
All right, that
so kicked,
seems.
Coombs kicked straight to the centre forward.
Oh,
Brilliant.
Shevchenko actually looked like he actually got an assist there, but maybe it wasn't credited. And then, wow, let's have a look at your guys. So Ashley Cole actually picked up an assist. Totti, I mean, on the face of it, John Terry's done well. Okoronkwo's done really well. On the face of it, you've probably played slightly better, I would suggest. But goalkeeper letting you down here.
Yes, definitely. I don't want to take him off because I can see a couple of areas that need to be taken off as well. So it's a tough one for me. I will. Yeah, I'll go Poom off for Lehman, and it's just whether I take put Cisse in or Donny. Yeah, I'll put Donny on for Davis and swap him with Powell, please.
Definitely can. Donny comes on for Davis and swaps with Patrick, and
Yeah,
then
keeper swap, please. Yeah, I'm not happy with Poom. You can't kick a player.
we'll see. You've still got options on the bench, obviously. Let's kick off the second half and
Let's
see how
go.
it goes. No changes for the Haggis Hunters. 7 minutes in. Oh, Shevchenko setting up Duff. That's 3-1 now. Didn't change much, bringing on another keeper. And here comes Rosicky now. Keeper situation at Churchtown is getting critical.
No.
Oh no! I shouldn't laugh, but I think that's 5 shots on target. Yeah, it is. That
Yeah, I mean that's a bit of a freaky game, but still very very poor on my behalf and on the team's behalf. Yeah. Wow.
there's not much you can do when your keeper does that. Commentator's curse is back on, says Ian Edwards. Um, I mean, Potato, Mourinho, and the boys in Scotland will be they'll be delighted. They'll be delighted, even though I mean that's the worst 5-1 performance I have ever seen. I think you win 5-1 and there's not even a player getting a 10. There's one guy getting a 9, and you score 5 goals.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, yeah. To be fair, eights and nines isn't bad, is it? But I know what you're saying.
I mean, if you're winning 5-1 and you're looking at this, you're thinking, what? 5-1 to who? But yeah, I
I think
mean,
yeah, the keeper on an eight is the biggest deal in terms of when you compare it to mine. I imagine.
yeah, I mean, let's have a look. Any credit knocking around or what? Says Potato Mourinho. Well, credit for including Landon Donovan. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Um, well, he got a four, didn't he? He conceded one more goal. Donny came
Well,
on
yeah.
with
My keeper's got a nine, just cumulatively. That's terrible, isn't it? I can't. Yeah, like I say, can't do much with that. The strikers have let me down as well. They've had quite a bit of the ball and not done anything with it. So maybe in retrospect, I should have taken someone off up front and left Poom to kind of make up for it. But you live and you learn. Downey off the bench with five is the biggest disappointment for me, I think, because I was expecting him to do something from the bench.
I mean, he's definitely looking at his stats. He looks capable. He definitely looks capable. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but let's be honest, that's a complete shit show. So I'm not saying I'm tearing it up, but definitely need to take a couple of those players out of the team and maybe back to the reserves if Kieran lets me.
yeah. Well, we'll see. Goalkeeper average of 4.5 says Ian Edwards. Well observed there. Yeah, no credit to Tatum Mourinho and the boys there. Obviously, eights and nines across the board. It's a good performance. What I'm saying is that the performance of the players, looking at the average ratings, does not equate to a 5-1 win away from home. I would have expected the higher averages there, and they are down to partially down. I mean, maybe it looks like a 3-1 win. The five is down to the two keepers. Game on last for a reason. Asta had twice as many shots as Haggis and scored none. They scored five. Song incoming, Tato. Right, well, we'll see. Anyway, that leaves us with a table that looks a little bit like that Fulchester. Somehow top of the. Wait, what? Did they even win? They drew with. Right, when a 1-1 draw is enough to put you top of the table. Okay, well done, Fulchester, for not being present. Um, And I mean, it just tightens up at the top even more, doesn't it? Fulchester, Lokomotiv, Boston, Devils, 26, 25, 25, 24, 23, 23, 20, 20, 20. I mean, 6 points from first to 10th now.
It's going to be some end to the season, isn't it? That's some great teams in there as well, and I can't wait to see the kind of last few games. I think there's going to be some big games on the line in the last 2 weeks of the season. Put it that way.
There's going to be some drama going on. We'll have a look at down at the bottom. Um, Steve will be pleased with that result because it means that his horrendous goal difference is no longer the worst in the league. So that's always something, I guess. Um, Haggis Hunters just about creep above the two of you. I mean, I won't say the season is over for any of you. 10 points is a lot to make up over the last over the last 11 games. It's not impossible, but it's definitely tricky. But all to play for many of the teams, and another exciting evening in the Super League. If we have a quick look at the fixtures perhaps before we close the show out for the evening. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a big night for Churchtown. You're away to out of form Gazelles. How do you see that one going? Will we see what was his name again? Marcus Pröll, was that his name? Will we see Mr. Pröll in goal? Do you think?
I doubt it. Did Lehman get a 4 off the bench or a 5?
He
At
got a
least
four.
it could be. It could easily be. I can't remember. It's someone really bad in the reserves as well. Someone I can't remember who it is now. So yeah, I don't think there's much.
You
much
got Tim, someone really bad. You've got Tim Flowers. Come
I was
on.
going to say it was Tim Flowers, and I thought no, it can't be. Surely he's not in the Super League, but he actually is. I thought that was a nightmare. Um, yeah, possibly. I'll speak to Kieran. I don't know who's in charge for that game, so I think you could go back. If it's me, I'd probably go back to Lehman just because he's been reliable over the last couple of seasons. But decision to be made, I guess. In terms of how I think it'll go, it's probably going to go badly. Although our away form is better than our home form, so you never know.
Yeah, well, we'll see what the and a big derby there, Leathersford against Bostock Stanley, obviously. Hodgie and Scott near enough neighbours in real life and in the game. Interesting to see how that one goes for them. Fulchester at home to Lokomotiv Boston first versus second. Would encourage Ryan to get either, if not both managers on. That would be interesting, definitely. A couple of good shithousey teams there. Battling it out. Yeah, it could be very interesting on Wednesday night if the show goes ahead as planned. Obviously, Ryan's not here this evening to confirm, but I haven't heard otherwise, so presume so. Um, there's Astor against Sloths. Dragons look to continue or get back to winning ways against Haggis Hunters, who will no doubt be brimming with confidence after that 5-1 win. Interesting games all over the pitch. Presumably Jens will be back to take on a Northern Burn there as well. And then obviously Steve saying that he's going to be doing his best Fifey's cat impression on Wednesday as they travel to the Devils. Um, I think we'll leave it at that. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching along. A couple of good games. Well, a few good games actually this evening. 1-0 as well, which wasn't that great. Uh, Sorry about the co-commentator's curse, but I hope you enjoyed your performance on the show, and thank you very much, Lee, for your contribution.
Yeah, I can understand why you put me on last now because it would have been a really, really drab show if I had a 5-1 hammering at, at 9:05 p.m. tonight. So yeah, thanks for having me on anyway. I really enjoyed it,
Uh,
apart from the last game.
Always welcome, always welcome. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, your evening. I was going to say your long weekend to Jens, but he's not here. If he watches it, then have a good Monday off. Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining, and Ryan will be back with details of the next show shortly. So good night.